I know this is disturbing, and I know I'll probably get banned on YouTube for this, but it's important that we do this, okay? All right, so now I'll explain the theory as to why this is happening. How is it transgression is able to unleash divine energy? Okay, so Kant. We will look at some major thinkers, and they're really deep thinkers, and we'll go more into them this semester, but I'm going to introduce them, okay? So Kant. Remember from the first class, Kant had a theory of how the world works. There is no objective reality that we see, okay? So before, the assumption was that we just absorb reality, okay? But Kant says that we are active. Sorry, we'll wait for this. So Kant says that we are active participants in reality. How? Well, because our brains are filters. We add space and time to reality. Space and time does not exist outside of us, okay? So the objective reality is called noumena, okay? The things in themselves. Do not worry about these names, but this is the objective reality. What happens is that for our filters, we interact with the noumena, and that creates something called the phenomena. The things that we see, the phenomena, okay? And that's the world we know. The noumena we can never ever know. That's the theory of Kant, okay? And this has been confirmed by neuroscience. So this is basically the most accurate model of the world that we have. The problem, though, is that Kant's conception of the world creates three questions, okay? The first question is, what is the noumena? Kant says we can never know it, but we still want to know it, okay? That's the first question. Second question then is, who gave us these filters, right? Where do our filters come from? How do our minds work, and who created our minds in the first place? That's the second question. The third question is, if we are all seeing the world through our own lens, how do we know that we're seeing the same world? How do our perception of the world align together? Okay? So Kant creates these problems. Hegel, who comes after Kant, Friedrich Hegel, by the way, he proposes a solution to these three problems. And what he says is this, and this is really important for us to understand, is the noumena is the Geist. The Geist is hard to translate. We usually translate it to mean spirit. Okay, so what Hegel is saying is that the spirit world is what creates the material world. We are just a shell. What really matters is the spirit world. Now, it's really important to understand the concept of the Geist, okay? And again, it's German, but there's no actual English translation for it. So it's best to see Geist as a combination of three words that derive from Geist. Okay, these three words are ghost, geyser, and gist. Okay? So these three English words are derivatives of the German word Geist. Right? Most words in English are actually German in origin. Sorry, not most words, but many words, okay? All right, ghost is just a parallel reality that exists alongside us, right? A spiritual world. That's the first concept. Geyser is just a force that is exploding or becoming or expanding. So this Geist is constantly expanding and becoming. Gist means the essence of things, the core of things. Okay? So the real truth in the world is the Geist. Not what we see, but what is invisible to us. Okay, so that's the idea of the Geist. Does that make sense? Now with the Geist, we can answer all three questions. The noumena, the real world, is the spiritual world, not the material world. It's the Geist that gives us these filters. And because we're all seeing the world through the Geist, we see the same world. Okay? So now this creates another problem, which is, where did the Geist come from? what is the Geist? Okay, and here we will look at Plato and Dante. Okay, so again, this is a really deep theory, and we'll go more deeply into this as the semester moves. But I just first want to introduce the idea to you right now. Okay, so this comes from Plato and a religion called Gnosticism. Okay, the Gnostics. Gnostic just means knowledge. Okay, so in the beginning, the Big Bang,